This afternoon, protesters crowded the steps leading up to the state's capital. During the so-called Rally for Our Rights, speakers made calls to action to advance pro-choice legislation and vote in Tuesday's spring election. NBC 15's Colt Molesky heard why they believe the event is important right now.
People gathered on Sunday at the Capitol to let their voices be known before Tuesday's election. The Rally for Our Rights advocated for pro-choice legislation and changes to women's reproductive rights. Speakers emphasizing at the occasion the Supreme Court race likely deciding which way the High Court will swing on the topic of abortion rights.
People who've never shown up to a political event before, who feel the issues that are at stake very deeply.
And each and every speaker advocated for those gathered to make sure that their voices were heard again on Tuesday by casting a ballot in the Supreme Court race. In Madison, Colt Molesky, NBC 15 News.